Some houses hold secrets, some walls whisper in the dead of night. But what if the sounds you hear aren't just creaks and groans of an old house? What if something is living there with you? This is the true story of Mary and Kelly, two housekeepers who walked into a job and barely made it out alive. Mary and Kelly were just two college students looking for an easy summer job. Their task seemed simple: house-sitting for a psychiatrist while she traveled through Europe. A big house, an easy paycheck. What could go wrong? But before they even set foot inside, an eerie feeling settled over them. Something was off. The house was too quiet, as if it was waiting for them. That night, Kelly was alone in the house. As she settled into the guest bedroom, an unsettling sound came from above, the attic. Scratching. Slow, deliberate, like nails raking across old wood. Then, a thud. Something had moved. The attic stairs were right outside her door, and whatever was up there would have to walk right past her room to get downstairs. She clutched the blankets tight and forced herself to sleep. But sleep didn't come easy. The next night, it was Mary's turn to stay. She told herself Kelly had just imagined things, but as the hours passed, the scratching returned. Then, the sound of slow, heavy footsteps moving closer. Mary froze. The attic door creaked open. The stairwell groaned under unseen weight. Then, thud, thud, thud. Something was running down the attic stairs. She slammed her bedroom door shut, heart pounding, breath ragged. Whatever was in this house, it wasn't just a rat in the attic. The next morning, shaken but determined to push it aside, Mary tried to rationalize everything. Maybe it was just an old house playing tricks. But then, Kelly returned. "Hey, what's up with the scratches on your car?" she asked. Mary's stomach twisted. Deep, jagged marks ran along the car door. Long, deliberate scratches. Too long for any animal. Too precise to be random. Someone, or something, had been outside last night, watching, waiting. That night, both Mary and Kelly stayed in the house together. As darkness fell, the noises returned. The attic door creaked open, but this time, something stepped out. The floorboards groaned under heavy, deliberate steps. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The footsteps stopped outside their door. Silence. Then, bang. The door handle rattled violently, followed by deep, guttural scratching on the wood. Something was trying to get in, something desperate, something inhuman. Morning came, and with it, their escape. They called the house owner, desperate for answers. But when she answered, her voice was urgent, panicked. Get out now!" The scratches on the car weren't random. They spelled two chilling words: get out. Police searched the attic and found something worse than a ghost. A woman. A patient. A disturbed, dangerous intruder who had been living in the attic, watching them sleep and waiting, with a 6-inch knife under her pillow. Mary and Kelly never went back, and now they always check the attic before they sleep. Some horrors lurk in the dark, waiting for their moment. Some stare from the shadows, unseen but watching. And sometimes they remember you. What I saw wasn't just a ghost, it was something ancient, something that knew me, and it wanted me to remember too. It started in the small apartment above an animal hospital. The attic was mostly storage, just a bridge away from our place. But that night, something was waiting for me. Something that should not have been there. I was moving a stationary bike back when I noticed. The attic door was open. A figure stood in the shadows beyond it. Not human, but something trying to be. It raised a long clawed hand and pulled. The door opened wider. Pale, emaciated, draped in a tattered gray gown. Its face was hidden behind a saber-toothed cat's skull, except for the chin, barely visible beneath sharp fangs. It pressed a single claw to the mask in a shushing gesture, and that's when I ran. I felt her presence long after that night. Shadows moving in my peripheral vision, a sense of being watched. Then, a week later, while I was away, the missionaries still at the apartment woke up to something worse. A thick, oppressive air, a suffocating darkness. They prayed together, desperate to drive it away. The next morning, we found the metal door leading out of the attic, deadbolted the night before, had been wrenched open, its hinges nearly torn off. She wasn't just a spirit, she was looking for me. Not all darkness hides in the shadows. Some infest the very walls we stand in. We were pulled into a man's home, desperate for help. The moment we stepped inside, we knew this house was wrong. My companion turned pale. I felt sick. A hallway should have been visible past the open blinds, but all we saw was a void, an impossible, consuming darkness. We knelt and prayed, forcing whatever lived there out. The weight lifted, the house brightened, but the next morning it was worse. I stepped inside and something struck me, hard, right in the chest, like a force trying to throw me out. We fought it again, but learned the truth. The son had been watching exorcism movies, calling out to demons with a Ouija board, and he let them in. Not all hauntings are terrifying. Some are just there. The bakery I worked at was full of ghosts. Mischievous ones, noisy ones that just wanted to remind us they were around. But then, October came. The activity spiked, lights flickering, objects moving on their own. Then, one night, the radio shut off. The doorbell chimed over and over, faster than it should. And then, I saw them outside. The street was filled with them, moving slowly, aimlessly, like they were searching. The world outside the glass didn't feel real anymore. It felt wrong, like I was looking into a different place entirely. One of them came closer. Thin, bony fingers pressed against the glass, smearing the surface. The door handle rattled. I stayed back. I didn't make a sound. Morning came, and the skeletons were gone. But when we checked the windows, hundreds of handprints covered the glass, thin, bony, too many to count. The ghosts that haunted the bakery had always been mischievous. But that night, they had vanished. Whatever those things were, even the dead were afraid of them. Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, frozen, feeling like someone was watching you? Now imagine that feeling never goes away, because something is watching you, waiting, lurking, in the corners of your dreams and reality. This is not just a nightmare. This is the story of the dream stalker. It started when I was a child. My mother would find me sleepwalking, staring at the wall, mumbling nonsense. But what I saw in those moments wasn't nonsense to me. It was a man, faceless, tall, and watching me from the corners of my dreams. He never moved, he never spoke, but I knew he was waiting for something. As I grew older, the dreams became worse. The faceless man no longer stood still. He moved, creeping closer with each nightmare. One night, I woke up paralyzed. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, but I felt him, standing by my bed, watching me. I could hear his breath, ragged, distorted, unnatural. I told my mother, but she dismissed it as just nightmares. Until one night, she heard me scream. She found me standing in my room, my fingernails digging into the wall, whispering in a language I didn't know. Her face turned pale. And that's when she told me about my grandfather and how he died in his sleep, whispering the same words. I stopped sleeping. The more I fought the dreams, the stronger he became. I'd see him in the reflection of my TV screen, in the window, in the corners of my vision. He wasn't just in my dreams anymore. He was here, and he was hungry. I knew I couldn't run forever. That night, I let sleep take me, and he was waiting. But this time, he wasn't still. This time, he reached for me. His hands wrapped around my throat, and I felt myself slipping away. But then, I remembered something. My grandfather's last words. I whispered them back, and suddenly, he screamed. A sound so terrible, the dream itself shattered. I woke up gasping. The room was still. The air lighter. He was gone, but I knew he wasn't destroyed, just waiting, watching, and someday he'll try again. Some stories don't just stay in your head, they take root, fester, and then, when you least expect it, they come to life. What if the very thing you feared most wasn't lurking in the dark, but waiting in your own mind? For as long as I can remember, my family has carried whispers of power. My grandfather, long gone but never truly silent, once told me we were witches. I never fully understood what that meant until the night I met the thing in my closet. I had powers, but I had no idea how to use them, and that ignorance nearly cost me everything. It started with a story, a horror podcast, playing in the background. A man trapped in a cabin, stalked by a grinning demon with the yellow eyes, hiding in his closet. Just a story, right? But that night my closet felt wrong, as if something had been waiting all along, watching. The fear was irrational, but it was overwhelming. I couldn't take my eyes off the closet. I felt it in there, staring, waiting. And then, without warning, the door flew off its hinges, crashing against the wall. The air turned suffocating. I wanted to run, but something told me if I left the room, I would never make it past the door frame. After that night, I wasn't the same. The world outside felt distant, dull. My thoughts were no longer my own. I dreamt of escaping, of slipping into my own mind, where nothing could hurt me. A world where I could stay forever. But I didn't realize that's exactly what it wanted. It fed on my despair, twisting my thoughts, shaping my escape into a trap. And it wore a familiar face. Chris Evans. I told my friend, an experienced witch, and she knew immediately I had created it. My fear had given birth to something real. If I wanted to live, I had to reclaim my mind. I confronted it, declared my power, and for a while, it worked. But the full moon brought it back. Stronger, more desperate, and this time, it wanted to finish the job. My friend astral projected into my room to fight it. I poured my energy into her, burning every ounce of fear into power. When I woke up, I felt like I had been crushed under something massive. My body ached, my soul felt stretched thin, but she had done it. It was gone, or so I thought. She finally messaged me that night, and what she told me chilled me more than anything else. It had fought back. It had nearly killed her. And worst of all, it had worn his face. The one thing that had kept me alive. It had twisted it against me. That was the night I learned the truth. We don't just fear the dark, we create it. And if we're not careful, it will consume us. some places hold echoes of the past. But what if something still listens? What if something still watches and waits? The first time it happened, it was just a whisper. A faint, almost imperceptible voice that drifted through the darkened room like a dying breath. He had dismissed it as a trick of the mind, a product of exhaustion. But as the nights passed, the whispers grew louder. One night, as he lay staring at the ceiling, he felt it. A presence. A weight pressing down on the air, thick and suffocating. Slowly, he turned his gaze toward the doorway. The door, which he was sure he had shut before bed, now stood slightly open. And beyond it, something waited. It watched him. Always watching. He would wake to find the door ajar, the whispers now right beside his bed. His mirror, once a simple object of reflection, now became a window to something far more sinister. One night, he caught a glimpse of them. Two hollow, glowing eyes in the corner of his room, staring at him through the mirror's warped glass. Sleep became a luxury he could no longer afford. Every night the whispers grew louder, more insistent. His own name was spoken in tones that slid beneath his skin like ice. The thing in the mirror, it was waiting for him to break. The last message sent from his phone was chillingly simple. "It's in the room with me. Please help me." They found his room in shambles. The bed was empty. The closet door stood open, revealing only darkness. No footprints, no signs of struggle, just the lingering echoes of whispers that never truly faded. And the mirror. The mirror reflected something that was no longer there. Some say he never left. That if you listen closely on a quiet night, you might still hear him whispering, waiting for someone to take his place. The room was still, too still. The only sound was the faint hum of the bedside lamp, its weak glow casting frail light against peeling vintage wallpaper. In the corner, an old wardrobe stood silently, its warped wooden frame carrying the weight of years long past. But something about it felt wrong. The air around it was heavier, charged with an unspoken presence. And then, the door, just barely ajar, revealing a sliver of impenetrable blackness beyond. The kind of darkness that seemed to swallow the world whole. A slow, agonizing creak echoed from within, like the weary sigh of something ancient, something waking. The girl stood motionless, her breath caught in her throat. A cold dread coiled around her spine, urging her to turn away, to leave. But something pulled her forward. Curiosity? Fear? Or was it something else entirely? With a shaky breath, she raised a trembling hand, her fingertips hovering just above the edge of the door. The wood was ice cold, sending a sharp chill up her arm. And then, without warning, the door shifted. Not from her touch. It moved on its own. A deep groan of wood against wood reverberated through the room. The gap widened. And then, the whispers began. Soft at first, like wind slipping through cracks, but layered. Multiple voices speaking in a chorus, an ancient tongue that sent a sickening pulse through the air. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs, her breath now shallow, uneven. She took an involuntary step back, her pulse hammering. But something moved inside. The darkness within stirred, shifting like a living thing. And then something reached out. A hand, long, thin, unnatural. The skin, impossibly pale, stretched tight over protruding bones. The fingers twitched, then curled as if testing the air. It moved with deliberate slowness, emerging inch by inch from the void. Her lungs clenched. Was she even breathing anymore? Panic clawed at her chest, but her body refused to move. The whispers grew louder, frenzied. as if whatever lay within was speaking directly to her. Then, the hand jerked forward, swift, predatory. She stumbled backward with a strangled gasp, her legs barely holding her upright. The wardrobe groaned again, but this time the door didn't just shift. It opened wider, revealing something deeper, something waiting. The darkness within the wardrobe was no longer just an absence of light. It was something more, something alive. And it wanted her.